would share just what my plan is for NaNoWriMo, not in terms of story. I actually did a different video on that, so you can check that out. But like the preparations that I make, creating a survival guide of sorts, how to set yourself up for success for NaNoWriMo. For a little bit of context, this is my third. I feel like a lot of places you're gonna get similar information, but this is just kind of the things that I have found to work well for me. Because here's the thing. The first week is exciting. It's easy. Well, sometimes it's easy, unless you run into a stumbling block, but that's besides the point. But when you get 2 weeks into NaNoWriMo and you are probably getting to Act 2, oftentimes that's where you get to. And Act 2 itself is hard, but then you're also like, you have been going for so long, like you're starting to get tired, your body is starting to resist it, your mind is starting to resist it. When you think about setting yourself up for success in NaNoWriMo, it's not just about setting up, what am I gonna be working on? What time do I have during the day? It's also about thinking about how do I react to those situations? How do I create a plan that's gonna be sustainable for the entire month? Because it's the most sprinty thing that authors do. I often think of writing as a marathon, not a sprint. Like it takes a year usually for me to write and revise a book. And so it's like, it's something you have to have continued stamina with. And NaNoWriMo, I think, is one of the most sprinty type things that we do, because it's like, oh, it's only for 30 days, like you can do it. But 30 days is still kind of a long time. I have kind of 3 major categories I'm gonna go through of things that I prepare. So one of the categories is gonna be my story, right? One of them is my life, and then the other one is my joy. So that joy category is kind of like, how am I gonna make this exciting for me once the writing stops being exciting on its own? Once I need a little bit more to push through, that's kind of what that joy is. So let's start with story. If you've watched any other like NaNoWriMo prep guides, this is gonna be very similar information, because I mean, you don't need to rework the wheel. What's that phrase? Don't wanna remake the wheel? Respin the wheel? Something about a wheel. Don't wanna do that. When you're thinking about NaNoWriMo, have a plan, unless you like really write a lot. I think that if you're somebody who like consistently writes every single day and you have a really solid habit and pattern of writing in large volumes, you might get away with not outlining as much. But if you are like, I know this was me for a couple of years, like I wouldn't really write very much during the year, during the fall especially, and then I would just go straight into writing. Like, and going from 0 to 1,667 words every day, not having an outline is just gonna make something that's already hard even harder, right? So not having an outline or a story idea, however you prefer to outline. I'm not a advice channel, so I don't have any writing tips for you. There's lots of channels that have those. Well, I guess this is a tips video, isn't it? Those are the main things I would say to prepare in terms of your story, like what is the story? And then as thorough as an outline as you can, honestly, because once you get in the thick of it, if you don't have a lot of time during the day, you want every second that you have to be able to go towards actually writing and not like thinking, you know? Because thinking is great, like don't get me wrong, we love to think, but if you only have an hour to write, you gotta get words on the page right away. So one thing that I do is I have what I call emergency scenes ready to go. So I've talked about this a little bit, but last year when I did Nano, I had an outline. It was kind of rough, but I got through Act 1. I was feeling great, and then I got into Act 2. I had about 10,000 words left, and the 10,000 words that I probably should have written next, not very much action was happening. It was a lot of setup and build, and I was running out of steam, and so I went to my emergency scene. So I skipped a bunch of scenes and went to my emergency scene. A lot of times for me, this is like the scene that inspired the book. Sometimes I'll watch like a movie and I'll see an interaction. I'll be like, oh, that, like I want something like that. And then you see this picture of like maybe your two characters finally confessing that they love each other, or like maybe there's a big battle, or maybe somebody gets injured, or maybe it's like a cozy scene where somebody's like comforting someone after an illness. Maybe it's something like that. Those emergency scenes are they feel almost like fan fiction. Like I think like every book has sections that feel just so comforting to the reader. Like if you were to write fan fiction about your book, like an interaction that you're really excited about, what would that be? And being able to jump to that when you're having a really off word day. You know, I think some people, and this might be you, like has to write in order, and that's totally okay. And I usually do too. Like I typically will write in order, but though I skipped like a good third of the book and wrote the ending of the book, like starting at actually starting at the Dark Night of the Soul, and then I wrote to the end. And then like after that I went back and wrote in, but not during NaNoWriMo. So that's one thing that I would recommend, is having a couple of emergency scenes to lean back on. The second category is life. And if you're really looking for more in-depth on this, I would check out Sarah Cannon's channel. I'm sure if you're seeing my channel, you've probably seen Sarah Cannon, Heart Breathing specifically. She just has a lot of content about planning for NaNoWriMo, prepping your life. So things to think about when preparing your life, I would say like preparing the people in your life, because if you don't tell them, they're not gonna know. Like if you're going about your life right now living in a way where like maybe you're seeing your family a certain amount of time, or you are like present in certain spaces consistently, and you are and those spaces are going to be replaced with writing, it's just important to keep everybody in the loops. I mean, you could think about meal prep, you could think about prepping your space and your outfit and your routine. But I think the thing to really consider, that I consider, is like, what are the things that take up the most of my time right now? What decisions are causing me the most time, right? Is it what I'm gonna eat? Or is it like, when am I gonna work out? Like, what are the things that are eating up those dead spaces, and trying to figure out how to prep for those, right? The decision fatigue that I sometimes fall into is like not knowing what to do next in the day, like not knowing how to order my day, because I just have a lot of things that I want to do and none of them are at a specific time, right? And so planning that has been really helpful for me. So I have talked a little bit more about what my daily routine for NaNoWriMo is going to look like in that video talking about my NaNoWriMo plan. So you can check that out if you want a little more about what my prep routine looks like. But movement actually really helps with creativity. So maybe when you're thinking about that schedule, think about how can you pair, if you're already doing some sort of daily movement, like maybe you're going to the gym or you go on a walk at a certain time, think about how you can pair that with writing. So maybe take your walk, have a scheduled walk right before you have your writing session for the day, or like maybe go to an earlier gym session so that you can write right afterwards, or something like that has been really helpful for me. I'm actually going to be dictating for NaNoWriMo instead of like typing with my fingers. I'll probably do a little bit of typing, obviously. But I'm going to be doing that on a walking pad. So I'm kind of compiling that. So the third thing I want to talk about is preparing your joy, which sounds so woo-woo. Are we in a self-help book? Yes, we are. Because here's the thing. If you don't have fun writing, why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? And this doesn't mean that every second is fun. If you watch any of my videos, there's at least one moment where I'm like, writing is so hard. Like, it's hard. Yes, it's hard. It's exhausting. It's not fun. But it is. If you don't feel any joy from writing and you're just doing it because you feel like you should, or you feel like this is maybe a person that you've been in the past and you want to continue to be, or maybe people around you expect you to be that, no point in doing it, babe. It's too much work. Preparing your joy. So this might seem contradictory. You might be like, listen, you just told us that writing itself should be fun. So why would you need to prepare that? Because NaNoWriMo gets very tiring. And so creating ways to bring more joy into the process is not lazy. It's not cheating. It's just part of the fun. Some things that I have done this year to prepare my joy is to figure out what type of writing I enjoy the best. And for me, it is dictating, which doesn't even feel like writing. It feels like I'm like on a podcast that I'm writing myself. I got a walking pad because I love the idea of walking in the morning, like getting my steps in, and then also writing, but like getting to do it in this dramatic, fun way and having this really fun routine where I get a lot of words in. Like, that sounds so fun to me. So I did do that. You do not need to go purchase something large like that to bring joy into NaNoWriMo, but that is one of the ways that I'm doing it. Another thing is to buy myself like enough sparkling water to last me the month and enough like little treats. So like every day when I get to my word count of the day, okay, here's a little treat for me, you know? Also creating playlists. So whether it's like a playlist for your book or if it's just like a playlist that gets you hyped. I recently made one called Diet Coke, which to me has the same effect as a Diet Coke at 3 p.m. It reinvigorates you for the rest of the day. It sets you up for success for the rest of the day. So having a couple of songs ready to go that you know will just pump you up. Maybe you listen to them on your way home from work so it gets you in a different mindset, like whatever it is. Another way to add joy to NaNoWriMo is to like plan outings, right? So this, you know, will look different depending on your budget. But like my plan is like every Saturday morning to have this like luxurious writing experience where I go to my favorite coffee shop with the best seating and I get the best seat and I just like sit there all day or all morning or however long. That makes writing feel fun and feel luxurious. Could even be the library, honestly. And I know this isn't an option for everyone. Like maybe you work strange hours or you have kids or anything like that. Not that you can't go to a coffee shop if you have kids. That's not what I mean. Just doing things that make it fun, even if it's not necessary. Like, no, it's not necessary to go to a coffee shop to get your words in, but it could be fun. Why not have fun, everyone? Thank you. The last thing I have on the list is friends, which I don't really know where I was going with that, but if you're looking for writing community, like, I mean, YouTube is a great place to start because I know a lot of people will be doing lives. I will be doing daily vlogs personally. It's gonna be a wild, chaotic, fun, enjoyable, lovely, wonderful time. So subscribe for that, if nothing else. So I wish you all the best for NaNoWriMo. Like I said, I'll be doing daily content, so subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys are working on, what your plans are. Are you rebelling? I always love to hear about the rebels. I'm like, yes, stick it to the man. Do what you want. Anyway, but yeah, I will see you in the next one where I promise I will actually write Act 3 or revise it. Act 3, everyone. I'll see you in the next one.